Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about women in wealth and how this massive transfer of generational wealth is coming your way. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Farm Truck Financial, where wisdom and wealth ride shotgun. Join Eric Kearney, president of Retirement Wealth Advisors, who believes that the best kind of planning happens when 4 tires hit the road. So hop in. Today, we're talking about investment strategies that drive results.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding with you.
And welcome to Farm Truck Financial. My name is Eric Kearney, president of Retirement Wealth Advisors. And today I am joined with Donna Krohn, certified financial planner with Retirement Wealth Advisors. Welcome, Donna.
Nice to be back, Eric.
Glad to have you back. Today we have a great show. We are going to talk about women in wealth. And I'll tell you what, this is an exciting show because we've had a lot of conversations about this, but there is a code red out there for female investors. And I'll tell you why. According to McKinsey & Company, in 2018, women controlled about $10 trillion in wealth. 2026 has now doubled, but over the next few decades, there is this massive transfer of wealth coming down, and it's about $124 trillion, and women are expected to capture about 70% of that. It's going to be all different kinds of women, nieces, sisters, daughters, grandchildren, whatever it may be. We're not prepared for that. And there's a lot of people who are inheriting money now that it's unexpected and it's actually overwhelming. So I appreciate you being on here today, Donna, because we're going to talk about the concerns and the challenges that women face today. Let's start off with the concerns. Where do we start?
I think people in general have concerns about, where is their money coming from,
Right.
and what are the things that I need to be aware of that may be coming down the road. But for women, it's a little bit more pronounced. So when we look at healthcare, for example,
Right.
Women tend to live longer than men. So with that being the case, there really is a genuine concern. And in that respect, I've met with many clients, many women whose overwhelming concern is that they don't want to become a burden to their children.
Right.
Either because of healthcare needs or simply because they've outlived their money. And that would be another concern, is just longevity, outliving your money. I think some other concerns that women, that are a little bit more pronounced for women, is the desire to help family.
Yeah.
And maybe helping family a little bit more than they are really able to. Just that sense of that caregiving, type of a mentality where, I want to help my children. I want to help my grandchildren.
I do see that. And one of the issues that I have through 25 years of doing planning is that women will always say, look, I want to do this for my kids. I want to do this for my grandkids. What they're really doing is they're sacrificing their very long retirement for someone else. And we're not planning for 15 to 25 years anymore. It's 25 to 35 years. And so it has changed, and it is different for women. There's no doubt.
Correct. And I think the other concern that a lot of women have is making mistakes in their investing, right? Making a mistake in the market.
Right.
And that fear actually paralyzes them from doing anything, right? Or making even worse decisions by being inactive or not taking the appropriate action.
I think anyone that has previously made poor financial decisions, the past is never far. So really what we're looking at is if they've made previous poor financial decisions, they keep remembering that, and it's hard for them to move on. Plus, there's a lot of female investors who don't have as much time in the market as some men do because they're entering into the workforce lately, or they're exiting out of it to take care of a loved one. And it affects not only how much they've invested, but their experience towards it, but then also their Social Security might be a little bit lower too. What I've seen over the past decade is women have gotten significantly smarter about their money. And now they're actually embracing that financial planning. I want income planning. Where does my paycheck come from? That's what I love about this.
And the other, comment I will make about that is that it's an interesting phenomenon because women actually, if we look at, and there's just, study after study after study that show that women perceive themselves to be less informative, less confident in their investment decisions. but they actually have better performance than their male counterparts.
Yeah, I've seen that too. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, it does make a difference. And remember that rate of return. We always talk about financial planning, income planning, tax planning. Super important, but what fuels all of that? What actually gives our lifestyle a chance to actually be appropriate and outpace inflation and pay our taxes? It's actually a rate of return. So we've got to pay attention to that rate of return that you're getting over time. So stay tuned. We got a lot more about women investing coming right up.
Do you have questions and concerns about your money, lifestyle, and retirement? Like so many, investors today worry about living expenses, healthcare costs, inflation, and stock market volatility. Instead of worrying, start planning. Eric Kearney and his team at Retirement Wealth Advisors want to sit down, get to know you, and start to build a plan that matches your vision and goals. Let's have a real conversation about what's important to you and how we get there. We'll help build you a plan based on your goals, lifestyle, and income needs, with financial clarity over complexity. Call us today for a farm fresh second opinion. Remember, you only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
And welcome back. We are having a great conversation about women in wealth. And so, Donna, we talked about the concerns that women investors have. Let's talk about the challenges that exist today.
Right. So we've laid out what some of the main concerns that women have. And as they go on this journey, right, of how am I going to address these concerns, what's available to me to do that, they're going to encounter some challenges, right? And some of these challenges are just kind of inherent into their situation.
Right.
So the first one is, and this one really struck me because I, as a woman, I see it in myself. And I see it in some of the female clients that I've worked with over the years. And that's the perception that women have that they are savers rather than investors.
Right.
Now, the reality is, especially in my situation, I'm both, right? And I think most women are both. But if you were to ask them, they would identify as being a saver.
Right.
And that in and of itself is maybe what's holding them back or limits the options that they have to navigate and address some of the concerns that they have.
I agree. And look, the biggest thing is that we don't ever want to be stereotypical. We don't want to go that route. But the fact of the matter is that it is more of a challenge for women to accumulate money. Okay. And so what happens is if we go back to Angela Bain, who did a Pilates podcast with us, the one thing that she was talking about was she had to learn to go from a saver to an investor. And it was because she's like, it took me so much to accumulate what I have. But then we started teaching her about lifestyle and how taxes, inflation, and income happens. We always talk about creating income, but rarely do we talk about growth. And when we get to 65 years old, we still need that growth in the portfolio to provide for that lifestyle. So there are a lot of challenges that are actually perfect for women, and we can combat that through planning.
So women are much more receptive to education. I think as they navigate this journey and they become stewards of this money, they are thirsty for the knowledge and they are eager to work with people or work with someone who will meet them where they are, but will, take their hand and go through the journey with them and educate them as we go along.
Right.
It's not an ego thing for women. I think they are more concerned about making good decisions, not just for themselves, but for their families.
Right.
And that desire overrides any ego or fear that they may have, moving forward.
Right. I think one of the biggest things is that when you do work with a female investor, what they want to have is to be guided through a process, not pushed, right? And so many people come in and they find it overwhelming to go over this or overwhelming to inherit so much money. So in the next segment, Donna, I want to talk about a certain person who we took on who inherited a great deal of money and was so overwhelmed by this, they just wanted to throw everything into CDs because they didn't want to wreck their inheritance. But we can actually show where planning, income planning, actually going through a process really helps them propel them in a better situation. So stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up.
You know who has one of the toughest retirements? Procrastinators. You keep telling yourself, yeah, I'm going to get to that. But after months turn into years, you realize that time is one investment you can't buy back. The earlier you start, the longer your money works for you. Stop letting someday steal your future. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now. Don't let procrastination be the reason you work longer and retire smaller. Call us today for a complimentary review of your finances. And remember, you only retire once. So let's get it right the first time.
And we are back with Donna Krohn, certified financial planner with Retirement Wealth Advisors, and really having a great conversation about women in wealth. And so we've talked a lot about the challenges and concerns and this huge transfer of generational wealth that is coming down the pike over the next 2 decades. I want to tell a quick story. So we had a long-term client, one of my favorite clients, who calls me one day and he says, Eric, I'm sick. And we realized that this was the beginning of pretty much the end, and he was really terminally ill. We had done planning for his entire family, from his wife to his daughters to his granddaughters. And the thing is that when this transfer of generational wealth came after he passed away, one of his children was so overwhelmed by the amount of money that they received that they call us and they're like, we just want to put this in CDs, right? The biggest thing was, though, Donna, that's not what their father intended. So their father intended this to be made for growth, outpace inflation, make sure they pay their taxes, to be used for their lifetime. But when we're so overwhelmed by something, we just want to protect it and just put it in cash and do nothing. So putting her through the process really made a huge difference. Let's talk about that.
I think that speaks to the importance of working with somebody that you trust, somebody that you can form a relationship with. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said earlier, somebody who's going to walk you through the process, not push you through it.
Right.
We, obviously we did all the planning. We had been working with the senior family member before they passed away. And we were very well-versed on everything that was going on and what the intentions were.
It was a smooth transfer too.
As smooth as it could be, right? When we were dealing with the adult child, I think it was key that we met her where she was, right? She was overwhelmed.
Right.
And instead of poo-pooing or minimizing her concerns, we were able to say, okay, we understand. So let's take a deep breath, let's sit down, and we're going to go through this with you. And it wasn't one meeting.
No.
It wasn't one email. It's been a process. And now we're several years in, and it's almost like you can watch somebody with their shoulders hunched up just start to relax.
Right.
And become more comfortable. And now they are really starting to see the benefit of what their father had intended for them.
Yeah, they start to see the process. They start to see the infrastructure. They start to see that it was actually intention, right? So wealth is a concerted effort, and it's done through a lot of planning. And a lot of times this took decades to get to where we are now. But it's like all of that concerted effort that we put in kind of just went to her, and now all of a sudden it blooms again.
Right.
And we're taking care of that. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
It is. And this is a perfect example of the concerns and the challenges that we laid out earlier. This is somebody who was experiencing all of those things, thinking that she may outlive her spouse, that she did not want to be a burden to her adult children, that maybe she'll have healthcare concerns, especially since now there's a history in the family of terminal illness, know. And we were able to navigate all of those concerns. And then her challenges of not being financially educated. But again, coming to the table with the spirit of being thirsty for the knowledge, and allowing us to walk her through the process to the point we're at today, where she can see the benefit of it. And some of the dreams, I mean, this is really the amazing part, is that some of the dreams or aspirations that her and her husband had that they thought may not be obtainable are now very much so attainable. And now they're as they're planning for their retirement, what that looks like for them now. It's very exciting, actually. It's kind of a happy ending to a story that, at some point didn't have, it was hard. It's hard to lose a client.
It is, but it's also a rebirth, right? It's a rebirth. It's taking that generational money, funding it to another lifestyle, and actually seeing that money come alive all over again for those goals and objectives. The one thing that I want to say as we wrap up is it does change. Priorities change for women as they age. So as we progress further into life, what's happening is, well, we want to make sure that we have enough income for our lifestyle. We want to make sure that our children are taken care of. Now, all of a sudden, it's a healthcare issue. Now, all of a sudden, it's a long-term care issue. Now, what am I actually going to leave behind? So we are addressing all of these things through the portfolio, the income plan, the financial plan. There's a lot of moving parts. So this really is a code red alert. I do not get dramatic about money, but this huge transfer of generational wealth that is coming over the next 2 decades, we really have to be prepared for that. So again, thank you so much for watching Farm Truck Financial. We'll see you on the back roads of retirement.
Thanks for riding along with us today. We hope you got some good dirt. If you liked today's show, subscribe, like, and share with all your farm truck friends. We hope you'll join us for the next ride on Farm Truck Financial, where we're always planting seeds for a better future, 1 mile, $1 at a time.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding with you down the back road steady.